is a series about maladaptive daydreaming, and in order to understand this series, you need to have a basic knowledge of maladaptive daydreaming. That's this video. The introduction to the wonderful world that is MAD. Maladaptive daydreaming, or MAD as it's shortened formed, is a condition where someone spends a lot of time daydreaming. Someone with MAD will usually spend almost hours inside a fictitious world inside their head. These worlds and these daydreams are often very, very complex and very, very vivid, but what differentiates it from other disorders is that maladaptive daydreamers know that they're not real. They can still differentiate between these realities inside their heads and this reality that we all currently live in. These daydreams will often take place for over very, very long periods of time, hours typically, or just in any kind of spare moment, not even spare moment, just it kind of forces its way into everything in your life. Basically, maladaptive daydreamers leave this reality in favor of a world inside their heads, and that is a world that they know is not real, and that is a world that they know is fake, but still rely on for either emotional support or most commonly emotional and mental support. Now, I am not a scientist, I am not a psychologist, and I will never ever be either of those things. So all of the information that I am getting for this video and all of my future videos come from my personal experience or some very quick Google searching. So if you're looking for any scientific stuff about maladaptive daydreaming, this is not the place for you. I don't have answers as to what causes this, what kind of emotional and like what kind of impact it has on the brain and everything. I'm here talking about my experiences, and this is my experience with maladaptive daydreaming. So there's one very important distinction I need to make, and that is the difference between maladaptive daydreaming and immersive daydreaming. They are very, very similar. However, maladaptive daydreaming is the much more kind of detrimental form. So maladaptive daydreaming is very, very hard to control. It gets in the way of the dreamer's life. It basically controls the dreamer's life. It is something that cannot be controlled easily. When you daydream, sometimes what you dream about, you don't have control over that. It's something that you just kind of learn to live with. You have to change your entire life to work with this and not change this to work with your life. Immersive daydreaming is the kind of metaphorical step down from maladaptive daydreaming. So immersive daydreamers also have the same complex, vivid fantasies and daydreams inside their head. However, they can control it. So they can control when they daydream, what they daydream about, and all that kind of fun stuff. They can put it to immersive daydreamers can put it to the side when their presence is needed in this reality, whereas maladaptive daydreamers cannot. Eliezer Sommer was the first one to identify this condition in 2002. He says it characterizes individuals that engage in vivid and fanciful daydreaming for hours on end, neglecting real-life relationships and responsibilities. Maladaptive daydreaming currently cannot be diagnosed. There just isn't enough research on it to make it something that can be diagnosable at the moment. However, it is clear that there is still a large community of people who do suffer with this, and we have to turn to each other to help manage and help cope with this, because we're all we've got really at this point. There are many platforms on the internet that are made by maladaptive daydreamers for maladaptive daydreamers. I found the Tumblr platform most helpful, and I am on that constantly. I'm also in the subreddit. There is a maladaptive daydreaming subreddit. It's been on TikTok, I know, a little bit, but basically this is real. Just because it can't be diagnosed doesn't mean people are not suffering with it. We are on a road to, we just need more time to get a diagnosis, but most of us don't have that time to just sit around and wait, so we have to help each other and help ourselves. Before I discovered the term, I still knew that there was something kind of wrong with my kind of being. I did describe myself as childish and immature, and just kind of, I was really, really hard on myself for still playing fairy games when I got into junior high and into high school. It's really hard to just put this on hold, which just makes it harder to go out and do things that kind of normal teenagers would do. So for example, like, I was always so hard on myself for not going to parties, or for not taking like another job or something kind of similar to that, because I just didn't think I had the time, even though I did have the time. I spent that time daydreaming instead of doing something almost what I considered to be more productive. It's really weird being a maladaptive daydreamer and not knowing what it is, because you feel like a child. You say, like I said, like I would describe myself as having an overactive imagination, but I was very, very ashamed of that, because it kind of got in the way of normal life milestones that lots of my friends and my peers were having, and that would just cause, when I could see them succeeding, it would just make me more upset at myself, and I would try to ignore the problem. But you can't just ignore the problem, because ignoring the problem honestly just makes it worse, because typically one of kind of the triggers for at least my daydreams are just feeling like anxious or stressed. So whenever I would feel anxious or stressed, I would want to retreat back inside my own mind, but I wouldn't let myself do that because I was ignoring the problem. But ignoring the problem just made me more stressed, and the cycle kept going and going, and nothing healthy or good ever came out of that cycle. There are ways to cope and to work with it, but in order for everyone to kind of gain that resource, we have to make maladaptive daydreaming a more well-known topic, so that people can know the term and say, hey, I do that, and then they can get the help that they need. This channel is going to be very heavily influenced by maladaptive daydreaming, since it is such a big part of my life. I know there's going to be at least 2 series based solely on maladaptive daydreaming, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few more. I read a quote a little while ago that inspired me to do this and start this whole thing, which was basically that if no one talks about maladaptive daydreaming, we're never going to get anywhere, because, like I mentioned before, there needs to be research done. If nobody's willing to talk and be open about it and share their experiences and all those things, that research is never going to get done, and we're never going to get anywhere as a community. So that's what this channel is going to be about, and especially this series, this Living with Mad series. Maladaptive daydreaming is very real. It is an extremely detrimental coping mechanism. Anyone with maladaptive daydreaming is so valid, and your experiences are very valid, and I hope that we can make our way through this absolute chaos of a experience together, because I'm so far away from being even a little bit in control of this, and hopefully we can take steps together. That being said, thank you for taking another step with me on my never-ending journey, and I hope to see everybody in the next video. Bye!